Hey. Get the football. Run your feet. Hey, you know. Finish.
The Gameday Broadcast Network is proud to present Football Media Day. Football Media Day is brought to you by Lark Brewing Company and Restaurant, Loudoun's #1 destination for great food and great times. And by Integrated Sports Medicine and Physical Therapy. When you need to get back in the game or the game of life, call Robin O'Connor and Integrated Sports Medicine today.
Hundreds of high school athletes have trusted Integrated Sports Medicine and Physical Therapy to help them get back on the field. Don't let that injury go untreated. Call Integrated Sports Medicine and Physical Therapy today at 703-724-7474 or visit us online at integratedsportspt.com. It's where athletes go to get back in the game.
Hi, I'm Matt Reidenbaugh. I'm the head coach at Loudoun County High School. I just want to talk about last year for a minute. 2023 was a challenging year because we were coming off a big season in 2022, so we were a very young, inexperienced football team. A lot of older guys, but a lot of guys that hadn't seen the field very much that prior season. So we finished 6-4. I thought we were a lot better as the year went on. I want to give our kids a lot of credit for that. I thought we grew up a lot. And by the end of the season, we were a pretty good football team. Went into the playoffs, saw Woodgrove High School, had a big playoff win, week 1 of the playoffs, and then played a very tight competitive game with Tuscarora, who obviously went on to the state semifinal. The blessing of last year was we played a lot of young players, so coming back, we do have a decent amount returning, a lot of all-district, all-region, all-state players returning as well. So there's a lot to look forward to, a lot to be excited about for this upcoming year. Thought our kids had a fantastic off-season, high participation rates. I thought the leadership and the commitment to kind of growing our leadership was a highlight for our kids, and we've been able to see firsthand their dedication. We talk a lot about on our staff, if we're going to be good, coaches and coaches' leadership can get us there. But if we want to be really great, that's got to be driven from our leaders on the team and driven from the players. And that's kind of what we've been able to see a little bit this offseason, and we're hoping to continue to grow that as the season goes on. Training camp's been pretty great so far. Knock on wood, we haven't had many injuries. Our kids' effort level's been through the roof. I thought they've had a really good focus. That said, it is training camp, so we are a sloppy football team right now. We still have a long way to go. We just got off our first scrimmage this week versus Spotsylvania. Like any scrimmage ever, there's a lot of good and a lot of bad, and we're just trying to grow from last Thursday to this Thursday when we play Light Ridge High School will be coming over to us. In terms of returning players on offense, we return a good bit. We had 2 players make All-State last year on offense. One is our tailback, Montez Dyson. Montez, phenomenal athlete, phenomenal leader for our football team as well. He's been a varsity football player since his freshman year for us. Last year, he had over 1,400 yards. I think he finished around 20 touchdowns, so extremely high expectations for him coming into his junior season. He's without a doubt a kid we'll see play on Saturdays, when he's done in high school. So, again, high expectations from him, not just from an on-field standpoint, but from a leadership standpoint as well. Another All-State player returner for us is left tackle Carter Scruggs. Carter started his sophomore season last year, obviously had a great year being All-State. Between last year and this year, he's picked up just about every offer in the country. Alabama, Georgia, Penn State, you name it. So he'll be one of our key pieces on the offensive line. He's still got a long way to go as a player, but a ton of upside, and last year he showed exactly what he can do when he's playing some of his best football. Next to him on the line will be Chris Goulman. One of the leaders of our team, has been one of the leaders of our team for a couple years now. another college football player. He's got multiple Division III offers right now, but I think his biggest asset to our team is his leadership. Sam Fry returning at tight end, another all-district player. And then we have a number of young players we're really excited about who are coming up and will be starters for us this year. So a lot of new faces, but we're excited about the new faces, and we're kind of excited about some of our younger guys. Defensively, we bring back Brandon Ahern. He's a senior inside linebacker, was an all-district player last year. Jeremiah Davis played some linebacker, also played some defensive end and edge. He's a kid with a big skill set, a kid that you kind of want to put in every spot, but you got to pick and choose where you play him a little bit. He was an all-region player as well. So, you know, we bring back a lot on both sides of the ball, but we do have a lot of young faces this year. I think one of our challenges early on is our schedule is tough right out the gate. We start with Woodgrove week 1. You know, they've won a state championship in recent memory. There's not a year they're not in the playoffs. You know they're going to be well coached. You know they're going to have players. We got Coach Burnett and Briar Woods week 2, and then we roll into Tuscarora. So that was a tough stretch for us last year, a tough stretch when you have a young football team. So we've got to start fast right out of the gate this year. In terms of my expectations this season, it's cliche, but it really is just 1 week at a time. When you have the schedule that we have, and you have, you know, some of those teams I just mentioned out of the gate, you got to just try to get the first one and be ready for that, because you know you're not gonna win 10 games in the first week of the season. I think our team has a lot of potential. I think that word can be a dangerous word, though. You know, we can't get caught up in our potential. We truly have to be dedicated to getting better 1 week at a time, but I do know we have the pieces. It's just a matter of putting them together and finding that chemistry as a team. And like any year, you know, it's not how we want to start, but it's how are we after that 10th game of the season going into the playoffs, and are we set up to be successful and take on the teams that you know we're going to be there every year. So that's kind of our goal this season, and that's what we're looking forward to.
Coach, it's great to have you here at Media Day. You just talked about being an evolving program, essentially. I know that's something you watched and learned from Tom Verbanek at Westfield back in your days as a Bulldog, and Coach Simmons and so forth. Just curious how much you lean on them still a little bit. Do you ever call them and talk to them about what you're doing? Because you've been able to have a lot of success early on in your coaching career here. Just curious about, you know, how involved the Westfield way is in your way here at Loudoun County.
Yeah, it's funny. Kyle was one of our officials the other night for our scrimmage. So is one of our coaches, Jeremiah Davis, on staff. He bumped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, look at Kyle down there." And I thought he just meant it's a guy that looked like Kyle. And about 5 minutes later, I said, "That's really Kyle." So yeah, it was great seeing Coach. But yeah, for sure, I think those two in particular, for obvious reasons and what they've built. And I think anytime you are a part of something or even see something that works, you try to take the components of that. And I don't mean schematics or any of that stuff, but it's the culture thing. And I think, you know, those two coaches in particular, one thing they have is high expectations from everyone in the program, from players to parents, administration. And I'd say that's probably the biggest thing I've taken away. I think it's the biggest area our program has grown since I've gotten there, is having the expectation that we're not going to get to the playoffs. We're going to be in a position to be elite when we get to the playoffs. I've also been lucky to work with a number of smart guys, Jeremiah being one of them on staff now, but even throughout my years at Champ. And if you're going to be a good coach, you got to be a thief a little bit, and you got to talk to those guys in the off season. You've got to lean on them, and you got to observe them. And I think from my perspective, you got to be humble enough to know you don't have all the answers, and that's fine. No one does, but you got to find the smartest guy in the room and lean on them a little bit.
Coach Tim Blank, senior correspondent for Gameday. What game do you think that the players have circled probably the most on the schedule going into this?
I don't like to single out games, but I couldn't with a straight face say anything but Tuscarora. because for us it's a neighborhood game. And so it's got that combination of, they're really good every year, but there's a lot of relationships too with our kids and their kids growing up. And then on top of that, we've had great games with them. We had a really great game with them last year in the playoffs that we were on the wrong side of. The year before in 22, we were fortunate to win that game and be on the right side of it. But, that was a game that was right down to the final play. So I think it's what makes those games special. I have a lot of respect for Coach Toller. I think the feeling is mutual. We get along really well, and I love playing in those games. It's a stressful week of practice because you're going to face a really well-coached team, a really talented team. But if you're going to get to the places that we talk about getting, those are the teams you have to win. And to get a game like that week 3 this year is great for us because you're going to find out really quickly where you stack up and where you need to grow. So we're excited about it. That'll be a great opportunity for us going to their place this year.
Coach, you played for old school guys. Just curious, are you an old school coach or are you a new school coach or a blend a little bit?
It's funny. A couple of coaches were talking about that with me this week. I would say I'm more on the old school side. We're a run the football team. We're a team built on culture. But, I do try to be my own coach and be true to myself and my personality. I think any good coach, any great coach does that. You got to be who you are. So I like to think I'm not the old guy in the room yet, but every year I get a little bit grayer and probably a little bit grumpier. But, that's kind of how our program is. We're gonna run the football. We're going to play defense. We're going to control the clock and control the game. That's my mantra. That's how I want to win. And so I think our team takes on that personality a little bit.
Listen, I'm going to date myself here, but I used to broadcast your games back in the day when you were at Westfield. Have any of your players, asked you about your days as a player?
No, kids don't care.
They don't care. I'm just curious if you had to pull out some old film, and
one thing I tell our kids all the time, and it's just like, dude, you're so much better than I was in high school. And I think a lot of our coaches are like that. Like, you like to always think, you were the best, or you never did a dumb thing in class, and you were the best behaved kid. And I do think that's where I may try to be new school a little bit and tell them, like, look, guys, I was an idiot sometimes. I don't want you to be an idiot. And so, there's a lot of expectations and things that we have, but never pretend to be perfect or never pretend, like I was some special thing or am some special thing, because I don't think I am. I'm just a coach just trying to be a little bit better this week.
Final question for you here. Week 1, little snapshot preview for your fans out there. What have you seen so far from your first opponent, and what do you think?
Yeah, so it's funny. Woodgrove until last year was a team we scrimmaged every year, and the reason I scrimmaged them is they're going to be physical. They're going to be well coached. They're going to have some good athletes. So it was a great scrimmage for us when they were in 5A and we were in 4, because you found out pretty quickly kind of where you were at. Well, once they were our week 1 opponent, that scrimmage kind of went away. So I say that because week 1, you don't have a ton of knowledge outside of their returning players and those scrimmage tapes you have, but you do know they're a very well-run program. They have a lot of really good players. They're very well coached. So you're going to be in for a great game, a hard game. Our kids did a great job last year responding to that. Week 1 games tend to be odd, and you don't know why they're going to be odd or how they're going to be odd. But like last year, we played them. They had 80-something snaps on defense. We were in the high 20s, and we won the game. I mean, that's just crazy. But you get some kind of weird games like that. So I think the biggest thing is preparing your kids for adversity, because they're gonna face it. It's gonna happen in week 1. So you just want to make sure whatever that adversity looks like. I think last year was like thunderstorms and a delayed start. Are we ready for that moment and keep our poise and settle into a football game where it's always going to be a little bit crazy?
Coach, great to have you here at Media Day. Best of luck to you and the captains here this year. We'll look forward to following you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys.
Run your feet! Hey,
The Gameday Broadcast Network is proud to present Football Media Day. Football Media Day is brought to you by Lark Brewing Company and Restaurant, Loudoun's #1 destination for great food and great times. And by Integrated Sports Medicine and Physical Therapy. When you need to get back in the game or the game of life, call Robin O'Connor and Integrated Sports Medicine today.
Hundreds of high school athletes have trusted Integrated Sports Medicine and Physical Therapy to help them get back on the field. Don't let that injury go untreated. Call Integrated Sports Medicine and Physical Therapy today at 703-724-7474 or visit us online at integratedsportspt.com. It's where athletes go to get back in the game.